Kakadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Yutet Amud Aleph 19a1. Yesterday we spoke about Bizrani. If you remember that there were zironim, which means that there's seeds inside of this jug, and since there's seeds, inside the jug, so what happens is that you're going to have a case where it's normal that he's going to come and he's going to put inside his head, and with the beak, it's going to come and it's going to break, right? Everything that's going on. Okay? Fine. Now says the Gemara. Okay? The Gemara comes and says as follows. By Rav Ashi. So this is where we're starting today's daf. We are 4 lines down. By Rav Ashi. So Rav Ashi comes and he asks the following question. Yesh shinui litzrorot leravia nezek. Is there a concept of shinui by tzrorot to obligate reva nezek? Meaning like this. We know that there's a shinui of, one second. So basically this, we know by a tam, since a tam is going to be mishuneh, or anything which is mishuneh, it is chetzi nezek. The question is, srorot, if it's going to be mishuneh, does it also have a din of chetzi nezek? Srorot is already, how much does srorot pay? Chetzi nezek. So do you do chetzi nezek of chetzi nezek, which is how much is a half of a half? A quarter. Chazak baruch. Do you do reva bishvil shinui? Zot omeret. One more time. We have a general rule. Tam mishalem chetzi nezek. Why? It's not normal. It's not zelo muad. Muad nezek shalem. Kol davar sheze meshuneh. Anything which is not normal pays chetzi nezek. So says the Gemara, srorot already pays chetzi nezek. That's what we learned yesterday. Not like sumchus that pays nezek shalem. So does srorot that pays chetzi nezek? Let's say you do srorot b'shinui. Do you do chetzi shel chetzi shel zot omeret? Do you do half of a half, which becomes a reva? Do you do a quarter or not? So says the Gemara, en shinui l'tzrorot, or you're not going to say there's no shinui for tzrorot, right? L'revia nezek, for revia nezek. So says the Gemara, tif sholem Rava. Why don't we come and we actually bring a proof to Rava? Rava comes and he says as follows: the by Rava, yesh hada'ah l'tzrorot or en hada'ah l'tzrorot. You remember yesterday we learned this Gemara and we asked the question: does there exist a concept of mu'ad by tzrorot? You remember what tzrorot were? The avanim ktanim nitazim, right? Nitazim, right? The small pebbles that are shooting out. So these tzrorot, does there exist being a muad for tzrorot or not? That was the question that Rabbi had. So he says umiklal. So therefore you can infer then shinui. There's no shinui, because if you're going to tell me now that on the first time you're going to pay reva, so then for sure that it's going to help you the hada'ah to be mechayev chetzi. So therefore, there's no svara to say that you're going to come and pay nezek shalem. So the fact that the Rabbi has a doubt and he says, do you pay chetzi nezek, or do you have a concept of muad by tzrorot or lo, the raya that there's no such thing as reva, right? It was always chetzi, and the she'ela is, do you go to nezek shalem or not? But not to chetzi. You start off by chetzi. You never do less than chetzi. So answers the Gemara, no. Dilma Rava intin solomar kama. Maybe Rava was coming in to say, intin solomar, meaning if you want to say, how do you do it? Intin solomar she'en shinui, meaning you have to start off Rava by saying, if you're going to tell me that there doesn't exist shinui by tzrorot, right? Im yesh hada'ah or im hada'ah. Meaning it's only an intin silomar, not that for sure it's like that. Meaning, even according to Rava, maybe there is such a concept of reva nezek. But in tin silomar she'en reva nezek, hayim yesh hada'ah or en hada'ah? Hayim yesh lecha et la'asot muad or not? That's what we're asking. Do you have a concept of making a muad or not? So answers the Gemara, teku. We don't have an answer on this. Meaning, if somebody's going to ask you right now, does there exist a concept of reva nezek by tzrorot mishuneh, which means a not normal way of doing tzorot? Answer is teku. We don't have an answer. Yeah, tishbi etaretz kushov abayot. Yeah, Eliyahu Navi zachul letov will come and he'll give us an answer. Okay. Well, we didn't speak about it yet, and that's why we're asking. Okay. So now the Gemara asks, by Ravashi comes and he asks another question. Koach kocho lesumchus, ke kocho dami or lo? When you have a concept of koach kocho, is that considered kocho or not? Remember one more time. What is kocho? So if you remember yesterday, we spoke about kocho would be that, let's say, for example, the tarnegol is coming and he's picking away at the rope, b'chevel. Nifsak ha'chevel, right? And it breaks the deli. So that's called kocho. That's his koach. But if the deli comes and the deli breaks and breaks something else, ze shover mashu acher, זה נקרא כוח כוחו. זה לא כוחו, זה בא מהכוח שלו, זה כוח כוחו. So, לפי שיטת סומכוס, that סומכוס always is going to be משלם, חצי נזק שלם, אפילו על צורות, right, ואפילו כל הדברים האלה. So the question is, do you say, right, that you're going to pay נזק שלם because כוחו, כוח כוחו is like כוחו, or not? מי גמיר הלכה, right? Do we say that he's going to admit to Hechal Moshe Misinai legabet surot? Umukilan, he's going to say that the halacha is only going to be in koch kocho. Or dilma lo gamir halacha klal. Or maybe bemet, he does not learn the Hechal Moshe Misinai at all. And therefore, according to his shita, even nezek which is done al yidei koch kocho is like nezek shnasa begufo, and he has to pay nezek shalem. Teiku. We don't have an answer. So another question that we don't have an answer. One more time. By the way, this was a question of Richard Moore on Sunday. The question was, does Sumchus not hold of the Hechal Moshe Sinai? If you tell me that Srorot is Hechal Moshe Sinai, but it's Chetzi Nezek. It's Chetzi Nezek, right? So therefore, what's going on exactly? Yeah? So he comes and he says, so what? Maybe he does not hold. So that's what he says here. If you remember, we said, do we say that he actually migamir halacha, does he admit to the halacha Moshe Sinai sherak meshalum chetzi nezek? But he says that we're talking about koach kocho, and that's why you only pay chetzi nezek, because if it's kocho, you pay nezek shalem. Or maybe lo gamir halacha klal, he doesn't even learn this halacha Moshe Sinai, right? Huafam lo lamad it says. So he never learned it from his rabbis, and therefore he doesn't hold of it. Teiku, we don't have an answer. Okay, 2 dots. Next. Okay, until you're everyone clear. Very good. הייתה מבעטת, או שהיו צרורות מנתזים מתחת רגליה, ושברה את הכלים, משלם חצי נזק. So imagine right now, it's kicking, right? מבעטת. So it's coming and it's kicking, yeah? And, or it has צרורות, which are מנתזים. Again, they're shooting out, מתחת רגליה, from under its feet, ושברה את הכלים. And it breaks the utensils. משלם לחצי נזק. It's going to pay חצי נזק. Okay, that's what we learned in the Mishnah. Iba Elohu. We asked the question. Hechi kama. What is the kavanah of the Tana? Hayta meva'etet v'izika bebiuta is the kavanah that it's kicking, and then when it's kicking, it shoots out surorot with its kicking, which is nezek meshune, or surorot keruchayhu, or is it regular surorot, and therefore mishalem chetzi nezek. Okay, the Rabbanani, and obviously we're going according to Rabbanan and not Sumchus, because Sumchus said you pay Nezek Shalem. Or Dilmara maybe, yeah, it was kicking and it damaged with its kick. Or Tzrorot Mechamat Abiyut, or Tzrorot because of the kicking, and it's going to pay Mishalem Chatzi Nezek. The Gemara says, or Dilmar maybe Aita Mevayeta Vizika Biyuta. Or maybe Be'emet it was kicking and it damaged with its kicking. Or tzrorot mechamat abiyut, or because of the tzrorot, because it kicked. And it's going to be mishalem, chetzi nezek. Haki urche, but if it does it normally, which is normal tzrorot, mishalem nezek shalem. It's going to pay nezek shalem. Umani, and therefore, who is our Mishnah? It's Sumchusi. Our Mishnah is Sumchus. Meaning, one more time, we had a case in the Mishnah, right? We had a case, exactly. If you pay nezek shalem, it's Sumchus. One more time, we had a case in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, "Hayta meva'etet," it's kicking. Or shayu tzrorot menatzin mitachad raglea v'shavat hakelim. What is the case of ot shayu tzrorot menatzin mitachad raglea? Do you tell me it was meva'etet v'zika, or tzrorot keruchayhu, and then the Mishnah is Rabbanan, Or Dilmar, maybe, Haita Mivayeta Vizika Bebiuta. It was kicking and it damaged with its kicking. Or Tzrorot, like normal, and it's going to pay Chetzi Nezik. But if it was normal and not normal, it's going to pay Nezik Shalem, so that it's Sumchus. So who's our Mishnah? Is our Mishnah going like Rabbanan or like Sumchus? That's the question. So Tashima, let's try to bring a Seifa of the Raya from the Seifa of the Braita, right, of the Mishnah. Tashima mina Seifa. Tarsala Keli Ushvarato. What happens if it tramples on a Keli and it breaks it? Venafala Shever al Kli Acher Ushvaro. Veze Nofel Veshover Mashu Acher. The Shever Keli, the broken piece, comes and it's going to fall on something else and break that. Ala Rishon, on the Kli Rishon, Shalom Nezek Shalem. Nezek Shalem. Ala Acharon, right? He has to pay Chetzi Nezek. The E Sumchus. Now, if you're going to tell me that our Mishnah is going in according to the Shita of Sumchus, needs Chetzi Nezek. Sumchus never holds a Chetzi Nezek. So from the Seifa of the Mishnah, the fact that you say that it exists Chetzi Nezek, the Raya, it's a proof that it's not like Sumchus. זה חייב להיות רבנן, לא יכול להיות סומכוס. So says the Gemara, V'chi teimana, maybe you're going to say it's not true. Harishon is Rishon La'ataza. The first one is paying Nezek Shalem, is the first one, which is Hataza. And the Sheni, which is paying Chetzi Nezek, is a Kli Sheni La'ataza. V'shane leSumchus ben kocho lekoch kocho. Maybe you want to tell me that it's not true. According to Sumchus, you pay Nezek Shalem. But that's only if it's kocho. If it's koach kocho, maybe be'emet you would only pay chetzi even according to Sumchus. What's the raya? איך התחלנו הדף של היום? באי רב אשי לפי שיטת סומכוס, האם כוחו ככוח כוחו או לא? That was the question. What do we answer? Teiku. We don't have an answer. We don't have an answer. So therefore, maybe there's a difference בסומכוס, זאת אומרת, בתוך שיטת סומכוס, יש הבדל, there's a difference between כוחו and koach kocho. And that's why he says it. So he says, Ela hada by Rav Ashi, but when Rav Ashi came and he asked this question, and that's how we started off today's daf, right? Rav Ashi ba v'hu shoel she'ela, koach kocho, right? Lesimchus kocho do chodami, olav kocho do chodami, tiv shalot delav kocho chodami. So why don't you bring a proof from the Seif of the Mishnah that it's like kocho? So answers the Gemara, Rav Ashi, everyone understood the question. Meaning like this, Rav Ashi, we started today's daf, that Rav Ashi had a question. According to Sumchus, kocho, right? Sorry, koach kocho is like kocho or not? We have no answer. Teiku. Why do you have the question? Bring a proof from the Mishnah, the Seif of the Mishnah, that the Seif of Mishnah says that there's a difference between kocho and koach kocho. Kocho, nezek shalem. Koach kocho, chetzi nezek. Why don't we say that? Answers the Gemara. That would be according to Sumchus. So why do you have a doubt then? Why do you even have a doubt?
So if we say that if we go like that according to Rabbanan, so Reva would exist.
No, because that is Rabbanan, which that's what we're going to see right now. That is the Shita of Rabbanan. That's what the Gemara is going to answer now. Ravashi Rabbanan Mukila. You're right. You know why? Ravashi says the entire Mishnah is going to the Rabbanan. So you can't bring a raya from the Mishnah that Sumchus holds that there's a difference between koach and koach kocho because our Mishnah is not Sumchus. Our Mishnah is Rabbanan. So if ours Mishnah is Rabbanan, I'm asking now Sumchus. You want to bring me a proof from the Mishnah? The Mishnah is Rabbanan. You can't bring me a proof to Sumchus from Rabbanan. That's how he answers it. Ravashi Rabbanan mukila ubayla achi. So he asks the following question: Hayta mevayetet v'zika bebiuta. If right now it's kicking and it damages with its kicking, or tzrorot keorchayu, or regular tzrorot, right? He's going to pay v'chatzi nezek, hamechamat abiyut. But if it's going to be because of the biyut, ravia nezek, so then it should be the half of a quarter of a nezek. Ve'yesh shinui, and there's shinui, or maybe haytam aveda v'zika b'biyuta, if it's kicking and it's damaged with its kicking, right? Or tzrorot mechama biyut, or tzrorot because of the kicking, it's going to be chatzi nezek. Ve'en shinui. And there's no shinui for Reva Nezek. That's the question. Teiku. And on that is the teiku. On that, there's going to be a teiku. Okay? Which means that we do not know, we don't have an answer. But again, our Mishnah is going according to in Ravashi. Our Mishnah. So when we're going in the tekus, just understand one more time. We started off today's daf. By Ravashi in Sumchus. Does he hold kocho? Sorry, koch kocho ke kocho or not ke kocho? Meaning, does the koch kocho, which is the secondary force, does that apply to kocho or not? Teku. We don't have an answer. We left it like that. Teku. And tshuva. Okay. Then we came and wrote a Mishnah. The Mishnah said, right, it was kicking or there were tsururot. Yeah, what happens? And it's going to destroy the utensils. Chetzi nezek. The Gemara comes and says, what's the case exactly? Are we going according to Rabbanan or according to Sumchus? So the Gemara answered, 1 second. Let's see the Seifa. The Seifa, right? It's mashma that's going according to Rabbanan. Because the Seifa is that the utensil broke another utensil. And if the utensil broke another utensil, on the first utensil you pay nezek shalem, on second utensil you pay chetzi nezek. So therefore, obviously that's going according to Rabbanan, because Sumchus doesn't hold of chetzi nezek. Answers the Gemara, what are you talking about? Really, Batman, maybe the Seifa is according to Sumchus. And if the Seifa is according to Sumchus, there's a difference between kocho and koach kocho. Kli harishon, kocho, mishalem, nezek shalem. Kli hasheni, koach kocho. How much do you pay? Chetzi nezek. Says the Gemara, if you're going to learn it that way, what's the question of Ravashi? Ravashi had a safek. According to Sumchus, do you say koch kocho ke kocho or not? Bring it from the Sefer, the Mishnah. Answers the Gemara. Ravashi said our entire Mishnah is not like Sumchus. It's only like Rabbanan. If it's only like Rabbanan, you can't tell me what's halakha. So that's why we had the question. So now that it's Rabbanan, so what was the doubt? So he comes and he says like this: is the doubt right? Does he pay the chetzi nezek or does he pay the ravia nezek? Now we have the question. Does there exist a concept of ravia nezek or not? Does there exist a concept of a court of a nezek? Answers the Gemara. Teku. We don't have an answer. Okay, that's until now. Yeah? Bae mine Rabbi Abba bar Mamal men Rabbi Yami. Ask Rabbi Abba bar Mamal from Rabbi Yami. Ve'am nila Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Some people say Rabbi Chia bar Abba. הייתה מהלכת במקום שאי אפשר לה, אלא אם כן מנתזת ובעטה והתיזה והזיקה. מהו? What happens if it's going, let's say, on a dirt road? On a dirt road, you know very well, there's going to be a lot of pebbles and a lot of stones. So we're not talking about now that you're going down Harding, and even down Harding, you'll still see these, stones flying in the air. We're talking about that you're going to be in any of this place where you know that there's pebbles, you know there's surot, you know what's going on. So you know, EF and the vakaze, right? That it's good. The animal's going to go, and it's not going to be minatezit. For sure, it's going to be minatezit, right? Ubataviti zavizika. What's halacha? Kevan EF la orchehu. Do you say since it's EF ze normali, and miglal sheze orche because it's normal, so therefore you're going to pay the chetzi nezek, right? Or dilmar maybe. Or maybe because of the biut, there's a tzurot. And therefore, right, it's nezek meshuneh. The nezek meshuneh, tzarich l'shalem, ravia nezek. Answers the Gemara, teku. Okay, we don't have an answer. אין לנו תשובה. שאלה טובה. שאלת בני. Yeah? Okay, fine. Another question. Yeah? בא מיני רבי ירמיה מרבי זירה. Ask Rabbi Yirmiyah from Rabbi Zira. Hayeta me'alechet birshut rabim. The animal is going in the reshut rabim, and it kicks. Okay, it kicks is in a bracket, so whatever, right? But whatever, right? V'itiza, and now it's itiza, vizika, and it damages. Ma, what's halacha? Since it's going to be in the reshut rabim, do you say keren medaminala? That we're going to say that it's going to be right the tzorot to keren, which means because it's on tzorot, the baalim are only going to be chayav in the shalem chetzi nezek, just like keren. V'chayevet. And therefore, he comes and he says, you're going to be chayav on the keren. Or Dilmar, maybe, he comes and he says, tolada de regel. It's going to be tolada of regel, right? Why? Because he damaged normally. It's in the Reshut Rabim. Upturan, it's going to be patur. Right? Because nezek b'Reshut Rabim is like any nezek of regel in the Reshut Rabim. In the Reshut Rabim, if an animal's walking down Harding and it breaks something, is he patur? For sure. Why? Why did you put your keli, your phone, under Reshut Rabim? מה אתה עושה? הוא נכנס לרשות הניזק, משהו אחר לגמרי. That's something else. You come, you put your phone on the floor. Somebody's going to walk by. They're going to go by with a scooter. They're going to go by with a bicycle. They're going to go by with a car. And they made a cholent. They made a pancake out of it. You're going to tell them you have to pay? Slicha, Adoni, where are you putting your thing in Reshut Rabim? So therefore, that's regel. Regel, patur b'Reshut Rabim. Okay, regel, patur. So, do you say that tzrorot here are going to be considered like a keren, shata chayav, or do you say that it's going to be like regel, shata patur? So Elmaleh, so says the Bizera to the Yirmiyah, mistabra, it's more mistaber to say that tolodah de regel, that it's a tolodah regel. I think it's more tolodah regel. So according to this, right, now it comes out, hitiza b'Reshut Rabim, hizika b'Reshut Yachid ma'u. Okay, fine. What happens though if it's hitiza, right, b'Reshut Rabim, but the nezek was done in the Reshut Yachid? Meaning until now, we were always talking about where the shore is always the same place of where the damage is. So the shores in the Reshut Rabim, damage in the Reshut Rabim. Shores in the Reshut Yachid, damage in the Reshut Yachid. Right? But what happens now if he's in the Reshut Rabim, and because of this tzrorot, he damages the Reshut Yachid? What's halacha now? So Elmaleh, he comes and he says, Akira en kan, hanacha en kan. He's sorry, hanacha yeshkan. What does that mean? There's no akira, but there is hanacha. What does that mean? If there's no akira, which is mechayev, can you be mechayev on the hanacha? Obviously not. Which means since it did the nezek in a place which is patur, I cannot be mechayev the baalim, even though the damage was done in a place where it's chayav. It's compared to, by the way, when he said here about the akira and hanacha, this is to do with the Ilchot Shabbat, obviously, right? Which means that in order to be chayav in Ilchot Shabbat, you always need akira v'hanacha. You have to uproot it from one place and you have to place it in another place. If there's no akira, so then you'll never be chayav doraita. And the reason why is because there's no, you need akira v'hanacha in order to be considered chayav. If there's not both of them, you're actually patur. Sometimes patur rasul, sometimes patur legamre, right? Completely. So here he's saying, here you do not have the akira, it's patur. The place where you did the damage, it's patur. What's going to happen afterwards if now it falls somewhere else? Listen, it's a different story, but it can be mechayev. Okay? 8v. Haita, so they ask the question from the Braita. Haita melech b'derech v'tiza b'meshut rabim chayav. Here it says mefurash, that it's walking on the path, and it has hatazah. Ben b'reshut yachid, ben b'reshut rabim. Doesn't matter reshut yachid, reshut rabim. You're going to be chayav. My love, are we not talking about the hitiza b'reshut rabim v'zika b'reshut rabim? Are we not talking about that it had to be that it's mazik in the Reshut Rabim, and it's going to be hizika also Reshut Rabim, right? And therefore, the Braitas tell you that there's going to be a chayuv of tashlumim on tzrorot, even in the Reshut Rabim. And not like Rabbi Zera said, that it's like regel, meaning one more time, here you did everything in the Reshut Rabim, v'ata chayav. Now regel, you're patur. So therefore, don't tell me that tzrorot is like regel. Here you're chayav. Answers the Gemara, no. Itiza b'reshut rabim v'zika b'reshut yachid, and that's why you're going to be chayav. So ask the Gemara, v'amarta akira in kan hanacha yeshkan. Says, how are you going to be chayav? You just told me that there's no akira, there's only hanacha. How are you chayav? Answers the Gemara, Elmaleh, says the Bizera to Rabbi hadribi. You're right. Ani chazarti bi. I retract. Sometimes it happens. A rabbi says A, and then afterwards says, you know what? No, I retract. Ani chozer bi. It's okay, or whatever, or the other way around, whichever way it is. Okay? Fine. Another question. 8v, right? They're going to ask another question now. Darsala keli ushvarato. What happens now if it's going to break, trample on a kli, and it's going to break it? Now the shever break comes, and it's going to go on another kli, and it's going to break it. Ala rishon, you're going to pay menezek shalem. Remember, this was the safe of the Mishnah. Right? Ala rishon, right? He comes and he says he's going to pay Shalem Nezek Shalem. Allah Charon Shalem Chatzi Nezek. On the last one, you're going to pay Chatzi Nezek. The Tanya La. So we learned on this. Bamed Vadim Umunim, one of these words. Birshut Nizak. In the Reshut of the Nizak. Aval Birshut Rabim. And in the Reshut Rabim. Ala Rishon Ptura. On the first one, you're going to be Ptura. Ala Charon Chayevet. On the second one, you're going to be Chayav. Right? Why? Because that was the Tzrorot, which you're going to be Chayav, even in Reshut Rabim. Which one? It doesn't say. It doesn't say how much, half or full. Each one according to their shita, obviously, but the concept is, are you chayav or patur? That's the only thing that we need to know, right? So one more time. We had our Mishnah. This is the safe of the Mishnah. He comes, he breaks a utensil. That utensil breaks another utensil. Al kliya rishon neshalem nezek, right? He has to come and he has to pay. Nezek shalem. On acharon, chetzi nezek. We said, bemed, one of these words, birshut nizak. But birshut rabim, it's a completely different halacha. The first one, you're going to be patur. Why are you going to be patur? It's regel. Regel birshut rabim, patur. On the second one, you're going to be chayav. Why? It's sorot. And sorot, you're going to be chayav. Right? It's chayav chetzi nezek, obviously, because that's what the Mishnah said. Right? But you're going to be chayav. So my love, are we not talking about birshut rabim v'izika? That he teases birshut rabim v'izika birshut rabim? Answers the Gemara, the same answer. No. We're talking about itiz b'shut rabim v'zika b'shut yachid. Says the Gemara the same question that we said before. V'amarta akira im kan hanacha yesh kan. There's no akira. There's only hanacha. Answers the Gemara the same thing that we answered before. Elmaleh hadribi. I retracted. Chazar tibi. Okay. Is it so? Look on Amud Bet now. You tet Amud Bet 19b. The Amar of Yochanan says of Yochanan en chetzi nezek chaluk lo l'shut yachid lo l'shut rabim. There's no difference between the chetzi nezek whether it's a Reshut Yachid or Reshut Rabim, which means whenever the Torah tells you you're Chayav Chetzi Nezek, Selam and Shos, בדיוק אותו דבר. לא משנה אם זה Reshut Yachid or Reshut Rabim, זה אותו דבר. My love, are we not dealing with Sheitiza B'Reshut Rabim, Vizika B'Reshut Rabim? That it actually did, right? Hatazah B'Reshut Rabim and Hezek also in Reshut Rabim. Everything's done in Reshut Rabim. And so the Gemara, no. Hetiza B'Reshut Rabim, it did hatazah in Reshut Rabim, and then it did the nezek in the Reshut Yachid. So one more time, it's walking the Reshut Rabim, hitiza, it's throughout the stones, and then it did the nezek in the Reshut Yachid. So ask the Gemara the same question that we asked before. We keep on asking the same question. You told me that if you're doing the nezek, meaning he's in the Reshut Rabim, and then he sends out the things flying, and it damages the Reshut Yachid. En kana akira, yesh rak hanacha. There's no akira. Because the akira was on Reshut Rabim, which you're patur. The anacha was only going to be that's damaging, which is Reshut Yachid. And so the Gemara Malay answers him, Hadribi. Again, the same answer that we kept on answering again and again and again. He was chazarbo. Now this time we have another answer. If you want, you can answer another answer. Kiyama Rabbi Yochanan. When does Rabbi Yochanan come and he say that there's no difference between chetzi nezek, not to do with the Reshut Rabim and Reshut Yachid? Yeah, only on Keren. Only on Keren. Right? Only on Keren. Right? Which means that he comes and he says, if Yochanan comes and he says, En chatzi nezek chalul Reshut Mishul Yachid on Keren. But not on the other things, not on Tzorot. Fine, next. Yativ Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya Rav Oshia Kil'ah de Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, and right, Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya is grandson of Rabbi Yehuda Nesi. Yeah? And Rav Oshia, they were sitting in the cheder, in the room, which is before the house of Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya. Okay? Nafak milta mi benaim. Right? They came out halacha from them. Kishkesha biznava mahu. What happens now if the animal comes and it starts moving its tail? And with its tail, it damages. I don't know how you literally say kishkesha. I don't know if you have there in the English. Right? But if it moves its tail, and I don't know if it's a certain word. What? If you what?
Which word?
Kishkesha biznava. If it damages with
probably shakes.
That's what I said, but I just want to make sure. I see a lot of people that are shaking themselves over there.
Baruch Hashem.
You're on the recording, by the way.
We should.
Swishes? Okay, swishes his tail. Okay, so swish. So he swishes his tail. Okay, what's the halacha? So Elmaleh idach. So the other one comes and he says, what happens now? Can you actually be mechayev the baalim to watch over ad kidekach that that even his tail is not going to damage? He says for sure you should be pturim right on nezek and like this in the Reshut Rabim. So says the Gemara, if so, keren nami nema. Says I don't understand. You want to grab it? You're saying Kinu that you have to grab on its tail in order to make sure that the tail is not going to damage. So he says what? You also want to grab onto its horns in order to make sure that it's not going to damage. What's going on? So says the Gemara, can you compare both cases? Keren lavurche. How urche? It's not normal for the animal to come and to gore, but it is normal for the animal to swish his tail, to start swaying its tail. So says the Gemara, so if you're going to tell me it's normal, so what's the question then? What's the question? If it's normal, what's the question? Answers the Gemara, no, he did an extra thing. Meaning he didn't just stam switch it. It was powerful. Some people, they move, right? When they start dancing over there, right? They do serious things, you understand? Not just stam, you understand? So it's so he says, Kishkush yetera mibaile. Right? That means he did a lot more than what's normal. Okay, another question. By Ravena. Ravena comes and he asks, Kishkesha be'amata. Right? What happens if it switches its tail? Right? Sorry, his male organ, the ama, and it damages. What's halacha? Yeah, the animal, right? The animal's right. Again, he's going to say switches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do say have a keren? It's like his keren, meaning his ama, his male organ is the keren, is his horns. The keren lav yitzra katakafle. Now, the fact that he has this is because kilu it's a nezik meshuneh. Is it not because all of a sudden now he's got a yetzerara? So achanami loshna. So now he's got a yetzerara, and therefore it's like a keren. It's like his horn. Or dilmar maybe keren kavanato lazik. Keren he has kavanat to be mazik. Here. He doesn't have kavanah to be mazik. So teiku. We don't have an answer. Okay? So again, we don't have an answer. So we didn't have an answer by the ama, and to do with the other one, we also didn't have an answer. To do with the one of the kishkashkab is nava. Because we wanted to say that if it was normal, for sure you should be chayav. And then we just answered, it's not normal. Why is it not normal? Because it was kishkush yetera. Okay? Next part of the Mishnah. Tarnegolim muadim lalech. So it's normal for these roosters to go around and to break, right, with when they're walking. That's only if it's going to be in a case where the dlil, right, where it's going to be tied, right, to the animal's legs, right. But if right now a human being tied the dlil to the animal, to the rooster's legs, so then he's going to be chayav, obviously, because then that's going to be like bor b'shut rabim. So says the Gemara, 1 second. Nikshar me'elav, if it got tangled onto its legs by itself, man chayav, who's going to be chayav exactly? Right? Who are you going to obligate to pay chatzi nezek? Ilema baladlil, if you're going to tell me now, right now, the baladlil, that he should pay the chatzi nezek, hey chidami, what's the case? If you came and you hit it and you watched over it, so then you're anus, you're honest, you're force majeure. Vilavatzne, and if you didn't hide it, posheahu, then you're posheah. Ela baradar, chayav, right? You should be chayav balatanegol. So maishna kule nezek, the law. So what's the difference in the entire chatzi, right? The nezek shalem that you're not going to pay dichtiv kiftach ishbor velo shorbor, right? He says 1 second. From here we should learn the Torah is going to be mechayev, a person that opens up a bor, and not the owners of the shor. So he says, but chatzi nezek nami. It says ishbor velo shorbor. What does that mean? From this limud, you should actually come out that you should be patur legamre. So why does the Mishnah say that you have to pay chatzi nezek? You should be patur legamre, right? According to this shita then. Because if you cannot be mechayev, the owners of the tarnegol, right? From the fact that the tarnegol came and he started dragging it out, and because of that he was damaging another human being, so therefore, what's going on then? You shouldn't even have to pay chatzi nezek. So he comes and he says like this, he says, Ela baradar, matzniti in our Mishnah, b'da'yede aduye. Right? What does that mean, b'da'yede aduye? He's talking about a case where the tarnegol came and he threw it on another utensil. He was playing baseball. He took the utensil, he threw it on another utensil, and that's how he broke the other utensil. Right? So therefore, that's the normal case, right? That is the case of tzorot, basically. So because of that, the tarnegol is going to be chayav l'shalem and chetzi nezek. Right? Now you're not going to tell me now that according to Rav Huna, the explanation of Mishnah is in such a case, right? You're talking about that it was tied up through a human being, that he's not going to be chayav l'shalem, because that's not what we're talking about. So when is Rav Huna talking about? In a normal case, Delil efker, the Delil was efker. It was ownerless. So Rav Huna says, Nikshar me'elav patur. If it was tied up on its own, so the Bal Tarnegol is going to be patur. But if it was Kisharo Adam, he's going to be chayav. Mishum mai chayav. Why is he going to be chayav? Says Amar Ravuna Bar Manuach. Mishum boro mitkalgel b'raglei Adam u'b'raglei behema. It's like a bor which is going to be moving around. It's going to be mitkalgel through the raglei Adam and raglei behema. And therefore, since it's going to be moving around with the raglei Adam and raglei behema, so that's why it's going to be different in such a case. Okay? Fine. We're at the Mishnah. Mishnah Yutet Amubet. Keitzad Hashem muedet. How is Hashem going to be muad? Le'echol et ha'ra'uila. So he said it's going to be muad when they eat something which is normal for it to eat. Ha'behema muedet le'echol perot v'yirakot. The behema is muedet to eat perot and yirakot. You remember we already asked why does it say shen and then it says behema. So chaya behema. There's that. You remember we already spoke about this case. This was a Mishnah. So he says achla ksut o kelim v'shalem chetzi nezek. What happens if the animal comes and it starts eating clothing? Or it starts eating utensils? It's not normal. Hey, it eats food. It wants a gishmak. It wants a chut. So what happens? Chetzi nezek. One of these words, Rishut Nizak, in the property of the Nizak. The Rishut Rabim is going to be patur. Now if it's going to be benefiting from this, it pays that which it benefited, which means if it's benefiting from the Rishut Rabim, which means it comes and actually helps him, then now he doesn't have to pay for food. Imagine the animal goes, and now it just damaged the Rishut Rabim. But right now, I don't have to give it supper because it just ate. So then the owners have to pay that because they actually benefited from it. So you're right. Maybe I don't have to pay damages, but I still have to pay that which it benefited. And now I don't have to give it supper. Okay? Keitzad mishalem mashenet. How do you evaluate that? Achla mitoch rechava mishalem mashenet. If it eats from the emtza rechov, right, which means from the middle of the Rishut Rabim, it pays that which it benefited from. But if it's on the side of the Rishut Rabim, mishalem mashizika. Mipetach chanut, from the entrance of the store, mishalem mashenet. Mitoch chanut, from inside of the chanut, it's going to pay that which is damaged. Fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we're going to learn right now. Hashem muadeh lechol et ha'roila. Keitzad. What does it mean that the shen is going to be muad to eat that which is fitting for it? What's the case? If right now you have a case where an animal goes into the chatzer nizak and it eats food which is fitting for it, or it drinks a drink which is fitting for it, meshalem nezek shalem. Why? You're in chatzar nizak, so you pay nezek shalem. Vechen chaya. The same halacha applies to a wild animal. It goes into chatzar nizak. It grabs an animal, it kills it, and it eats it. So what's going to pay nezek shalem? Upara she'achla seorim, or a cow that's going to eat seorim, barley, right, which is actually ochel of a chamor. The chamor she'achal karshinim, or a chamor, right, that comes and he eats, what a chamor, he eats karshinim, he eats ma'achal para, yeah? So what happens? V'kelev, again we're talking about the dog, yeah, v'kelev shelikek et shemen, right, we're talking about the kelev that he comes and he starts eating the shemen, which is ma'achal chazir, the chazir she'achal chaticha shel basar, or a chazir that eats meat, which belongs to the dog. Meshalmim nezek shalem. Here they have to pay nezek shalem like shen. Now, even though it's not normal for them to eat these foods, since it's normal for them to eat it alidei dachak when they're hungry, so therefore it's called fitting for them. Which means usually a pig will not eat other things. Usually a dog, but on the menu it'll come down. It's still there on the menu. So even though it's not in the first choice or secular, but the fact that it's still there on the menu when he's very hungry, you're chayav l'shalem. Okay, Amar of Papa, and of Papa says, Hashta damartanado, you just told me, call me the level anything which is not normal. Ve'achlele, and he eats it, alidei dachak, but alidei dachak it's shmei achila. Haishun radachal tamri, when you have a chatur, a cat, that it starts eating tmarim, ve'cham radachil binita, or you have a chamor that eats fish, meshalem nezek shalem. Right? It's going to pay nezek shalem also. Why? It's normal to eat alidei dachak, and therefore it's going to pay, right, the nezek shalem as well. Okay, just like the other cases. So we added on another two cases of the chamor with fish and the chatur with tmarim. There was a story of a cat, of a chamor that ate bread. And then he came and he started taking a basket, which basically the bread was inside of a basket. He started chewing on it. He said that he had to pay the nezek shalem on the bread, and on the sal, on the basket, chetzi nezek, because it's not normal. So ask the Gemara, why? Since it's normal to eat the bread, so then it's normal for him to come and to chew the basket, which the bread is inside of it. So you should pay on the basket also nezek shalem. Answers the Gemara, Da'achal v'adar pales. He said, no. First he ate the entire bread.
Right?
And then he came and he ate the basket. That's why it's not normal. Meaning, if he was eating the bread and at the same time he's also chewing away the basket, so okay, that could be normal. But if it's first he ate only the bread and then the basket, no. Ask the Gemara, 1 second. We never had on the list of for the hamor. We never had the bread, right? The bread we never had. Or meaning we have a contradiction. You're not talking about a behema now? Answers the Gemara, no, achaya. Meaning it's not normal for to eat bread, right? But a chamor, it's normal to. A chaya is not going to eat bread. Meaning don't give bread to a chaya. But a chamor, b'diavad will eat bread. Okay? So he says, chaya basar rochehu. Says what? You're going to tell me that we're talking about a chaya? He says, what about a chaya? A chaya, why do we say that if it's going to eat basar, it's not going to pay nezek shalem? So he says, no, you know why? We're talking about the basar, which is the mitzvah, which means basar tzalui, right? That means a chaya does not eat roasted meat. It eats raw meat, not roasted meat. The iba if you want, you can answer betavia. Tavia is like what the tzvi, right? That at tzvi, we're talking about that it's not normal to eat bread or meat. So therefore, even though it's a chaya tzvi, a deer, it's not a reindeer, right? It's not normal for them to come and to eat meat or to eat bread. And therefore, if it's going to eat meat and bread, it's not normal. Huh?
They eat yelakot or...
I guess, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Yeah, me'asabim, from grass. ואין דרכו לאכול בשר אפילו לידי דחק. כמו כן, מאחר שאינו גדל בבית, אין דרכו לאכול פת. It doesn't eat bread. Right? That's not like behemot. Sometimes they do, so they'll come and they'll eat bread. V'bayteim, or if you want, you could answer another answer. Leolam b'vehema u'ptorah. Really, we're talking about behemet, a behema, and we're talking about that he ate it on the table. So it's not normal to eat it on the table. A behema eats on the table. A behema, you understand? So he does that in the circus, right? Yeah, he says over here, he says because it's not normal, that's why he's going to pay, right? Nezek, he's going to come and he's going to pay the chetzi nezek. Okay.